Just a bit quicker.
In fact, the start button may have returned on. It's gone though again, though, hasn't it? Well, the physical start button is gone.
Mm.
Do you notice all the new Surface stuff? There's no start button anymore.
No physical one, no.
Yeah. You no longer need it. Right. I'll give Jason another. Let's try. The stream's on now anyway. Send the link out. Aha, he's popped online now.
Uh-huh.
So maybe if I add him in now. There we go. That should be it. It's ringing. Answer your Skype, Jason.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
You're following orders. I'm glad to hear.
Very good.
Oh dear. What a day.
Yes. Oh, we've already got someone in the chat room. Good evening, Rob. Right. Well, we're all set up.
It's going to be a really slow show, isn't it? What can we talk about?
Nothing to talk about tonight.
Yes, Jason, Gary, good evening. Well, what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, tonight,
Yeah,
tonight, Ian, I'm going to be podcasting like a boss.
Very good.
So,
I watched the keynote without the sound.
It's probably, you could probably just about work out what everything's going on anyway.
Yeah. When my Microsoft Edge has crashed. What I did was click on the live bit.
That's not good. Well, before we started recording, Google Chrome told me to try 15 minutes before trying to Hangout. So, oh, right, okay. But anyway, I ignored them, and we're here, and we're on, and we're live in the chat room. So, yes, we have got a few things to discuss tonight, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit. Microsoft had this small event today.
Yes, just a small. Well, I think this is the I think it's probably the biggest Microsoft keynote for a long while.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly the most entertaining one for a while.
Yeah. So we've got plenty to talk about that. Just a couple of things I did want to mention just before we start as well. Gary, you mentioned this before. Amulet having a sale on their remote controls.
That's right, yeah. So Amulet, as some people know, is the voice control, remote control for Media Center, and also Vox Commando, which is the thing I use to control my house. And extremely good for Vox Commando. Eddie contacted us earlier to say that they're now onto their last remaining stock of the Amulets, and they're having a sale to get rid of them all. Once the 18th of October comes, you will not be able to buy an Amulet with control again. So if you ever wanted one, now it's time to get one, because they're only $34 with free shipping, which is about 20 quid.
Yeah.
That's an absolute bargain.
Because it's a great remote. I mean, we talked about it many times on the show in the past.
Yeah, and we had Eddie at one of the meetups as well, and demonstrating it. It's really good control, and it does work brilliantly as a voice controller. If you ever want any form of voice remote control system, it works really well for that.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll include a link in the show notes for that, but you have to be quick. But you can go back through my Twitter feed and you'll see it on there as well. And one other thing I want to mention is I know someone's selling a Elgato NetStream. And so if anybody interested in Elgato NetStream, they can contact me at thislifestyle.com or at iSticks on Twitter. Okay, that's the housekeeping out of the way. Right, so what did Microsoft announce any devices today?
Not many. No, nothing we weren't expecting.
Right.
Well, only one thing we weren't really expecting, I think.
Well, I've got to say their Lumia department leaks a lot, and the Surface department doesn't leak very much, and the Surface Book department doesn't leak at all.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Even without on display for 90 minutes.
Yes, yeah, that was funny. That was, but nobody expected a laptop.
Right. So where should we start? Well, let's start. We'll do them in the order that I posted them. That's probably is easiest way of doing it. So first of all, they talked about installation numbers, and so what's the current tally? How many people are running Windows 10 now? How many installations of Windows 10 are there?
I don't know. It would be really cool if it was a really round number with a 10 in it, wouldn't it? Especially with it being 10 weeks after the launch of Windows 10, maybe 110 million.
Yeah, in October, the 10th month.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. I'm sure it's around that figure, but yeah, it's just too convenient, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that they've been talking about 75 million for some time, haven't they? And so what they've done, they've sort of held back that count, haven't they? I mean, you could imagine that they would have been happy to shout about 100 million at the event. So maybe pushing up to 110 million is pretty good, really.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic figure. I mean, it's literally just 10 weeks, and I mean that's already smashed past the Windows 8, numbers, hasn't it? And I think it must be even probably exceeding, I think, the Windows 7 numbers, which was what 30 million a month, roughly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, although again, 30 million a month seems a nice round figure. So, but yeah, I mean, it's I mean, the real difference here is, isn't it, that these are potentially actual licenses in use compared to, traditionally it was always they counted, a sale to an OEM, which didn't necessarily mean, as was the case with Windows 8, that the actual operating system was in end customers' hands. But I think in this case, it's the fact that and the fact that the majority of these are coming from upgrades, and we talked in the months leading up to the launch that there was a massive risk of what if these upgrades didn't go smoothly, and so yeah.
Yeah, the installation number, I think it's pretty impressive, 110 million. It's a good number, and you think that's, I mean, I've got 10 of the 110 million, not 10 million, but 10 of those. So it's not 110 million people using it, but still, it's a high number. So it's a lot of candidates that would benefit from a book on Windows entertainment devices. So
absolutely. If only somebody would write one.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know who'd take that onerous task.
It'd be crazy enough for that.
Yeah. So more on that closer to Christmas when when it goes on sale. So the other thing they announced as well, they didn't announce, and I don't know where this rumor came from, and I didn't believe it. The rumor was that Google will announce Universal Apps, but I thought that was more wishful thinking than anything else.
Yeah, I think that stemmed from the fact that Microsoft have agreed a patenting deal, haven't they, with Google? I mean, Microsoft make a ton of royalties from other Android OEMs, but they've agreed to give Google a pass, and that was where I think that rumor started.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I mean, what we have to remember, this was not a software event. This was purely a hardware event.
Yes, and on that, actually, one thing I was quite surprised of, that there was no mention of threshold. There was no, threshold 2, I should say. There was no talk about the new Skype apps or anything like that. Like you said, it was purely hardware.
Yeah, and they'll have a Windows 4 mobile launch at some point. But and probably all that stuff will come out, and maybe we'll get Google on stage in that one. But this one, I mean, let's face it, they had enough to pack in their little keynote tonight anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it must be really difficult doing 90 plus minutes of iPad Pro 2 pre-announcements.
And what they did announce, though, was that Facebook are doing Universal Apps for Windows 10. So that includes
No
Facebook.
Sonos, though. Boo.
No. But that includes Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram, which someone's quite pleased with when I said there'd be a new Instagram app, because I don't think he really likes the Windows Phone version.
Yeah, I mean, that's 3 apps right there that I can't live without. So I'm relieved.
Yeah. Yeah, really essential.
Yeah. I mean, joking aside, at the end of the day, the target market, the people that they're trying to get to buy these devices, that is important to them. So, all joking aside, it's another tick in the box, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing we talked about before, and if the one app that you want isn't there, then you'll leave the platform. So that was the first part of the announcement, that they've got these apps, which, like I said, seem okay. I was just surprised they didn't show off the Skype messaging apps or Threshold 2, but like you said, it's a hardware. So the next thing they announced was the Microsoft Band 2.
Don't forget they had HoloLens in there as well before that point.
Yes, actually, yeah, you're right. So let's talk about HoloLens. Did you see that? I mean, the demos always look great, but that demo was fantastic.
Especially given the person wearing the HoloLens would not have been able to see the gun on his arm.
Yeah,
that was purely for our benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it is very. I suppose if you look down at your wrist, you'd see it, wouldn't you? But
yeah, tight zone. I mean, it's good to see that the dev unit's out. A bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be. I'd heard rumours about $2,000. It's going to be what, $3,000 for the dev unit. I mean, dev units always end up being more expensive than the final version of the units anyway, because you're paying to get it up front and some, and it's a dev kit, so I'll have some other bits in there as well. But an availability start of next year, so I think that's about what people were expecting, other than potentially a slightly higher cost.
I think the Google Glass development kits were what, $2,000 maybe?
Yeah. So it's not unreasonable. I mean, the only thing I would say is that having looked into it, it's only available in the US and Canada, that dev kit. So it's just a bit of a shame for us out in Europe who might want to get hands on it.
Yeah, they have kind of been repositioning the HoloLens a bit, like just over the last month or two, haven't they? I mean, Satya Nadella has been really talking it up as more of a kind of science, medical, kind of almost, kind of CAD design type device, more than how it originally got launched as like a gaming consumer type device.
I think it will be a gaming consumer eventually, but I think they can knock the edges off it with slightly higher priced units, which they can sell in smaller quantities.
And also I think, if you've got a very specific usage for it, then the narrow field of vision becomes less important. So looking at a heart or looking at a 3D object that you're designing to fit in a motor vehicle or something, for example. And I think, as the technology progresses and that field of vision grows, then it becomes into more of a gaming consumer type device.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. They have been positioning it as sort of the high end and uses, but then they demonstrated it with a game. So So like Gary said, the games are, I think, going to come, but I think that price has got. I don't know what a realistic consumer price would. I mean, I was thinking Xbox price range or something like that, maybe 500 quid or something. I mean, that seems quite expensive.
Well, I've already said about I hold to this. I think it's going to be around about the $500 mark when it becomes a consumer device.
Yeah.
But it's, and you look at the components, they should be able to do that, but they need something. There may be two devices here, and two qualities of device as well. Because I think they do need this higher end device to bring the money in, and corporates will pay for that. I mean, I certainly see this going into a lot of boardrooms.
Yes, definitely. I think it's a initially it's going to be a premium device for very specific vertical needs, and then over time it's going to work its way down to consumer level, and we'll see an Xbox price range one and a consumer price range one. I'm not going to be putting my name down, even if it was available. I don't think I'll be bothering the $3,000 yet. But I'm for someone doing medical software research or something like that. Then it's not really that expensive, because that's where you're talking real expensive stuff.
Yeah.
When we see the HoloLens enabled Microsoft management studio, SQL management studio, then I'll be interested.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When you can walk through your Excel.
Absolutely,
files. In fact, what was that film?
I can walk through my data lake.
What was that film, a 90s film where with Demi Moore in and Michael Douglas?
Disclosure, yeah,
because where they sort of slammed a lot of VR stuff into it, because it was just kind of coming out, wasn't it then? And that you can walk through the databases like Disclosure.
Yeah.
Have a look for it on YouTube. So that was the HoloLens. Yeah, very impressive demo as ever, but there's still questions remain over what the view window is, and that price range. We're just going to see more tech demos, aren't we, the next 12 months before we actually see anything consumery.
Yeah.
So the device that they showed that's actually announced and on sale is the new Microsoft Band.
Yes, yeah, and
Second-generation band.
second generation band, and very much as rumored, isn't it? A curved OLED device, a few more sensors, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think there's a barometer in there, isn't there, or something?
there is. Yeah, there's a barometer in there, and there's it can work out stairs as well. The current band has got GPS, so it can work out altitude, but I don't think it doesn't know if you've got walked up steps. So that'll be interesting to see as well. It does look a lot more comfortable device with that curved display.
Yeah.
I think they haven't said, but I think it looks like it's a slightly larger display, a higher res display, just from the images. It's hard to tell really, but
Yeah, so certainly rumours people were saying today, it looked like it was definitely
Yeah.
that.
and it probably looks a little bit more better built. Isn't it? I think they've got Gorilla Glass on it rather than the super
Yep.
scratchy glass that they've got now, plastic.
It's interesting that the image you've got on your posting is still shows people wearing the display underneath the wrist.
Yes, I noticed in the product video there is most of the people wearing it like that. There are a couple wearing it on the outside. I personally prefer it on the outside now. At first, I used to wear it on my right wrist inside, and my normal watch on my left wrist, and now because I'm left-handed, but now I wear it on my left wrist outwards. But I think that curved display might lend itself back to be on the inside. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's yeah, but I'd always worry about it being on the underneath because particularly when you're at work and you naturally rest your
Yes,
rest on the
that's
table.
why, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I appreciate obviously the Gorilla Glass 3, it should be far more scratch resistant, but it's still, for me, a smart watch, any kind of display, you just wouldn't want it on that side, but it does seem to be that's how they design it.
Yeah, like I said, in the product videos they've got it in both, so it will work in both. The clasp as well seems a bit better designed.
Yeah, definitely redesigned the clasp. That was one of the biggest complaints they had about it.
Yeah.
People from it, so that's good. I mean, it seems to have an awful lot of clever stuff going at Knox levels and things like that, which for really competitive runners, that sort of stuff's amazing.
Yeah, it looks really nice actually. I've got to say, I think that might be my next device because my band is starting to wear quite heavily now. So I'm hoping the new one doesn't.
So we had pricing as well.
Yeah, $249 and £199 in the UK.
Yeah, so a little bit more expensive than the previous one, but not much.
Still seems a bit on the price side. I know you obviously you compare it to the Apple Watch and it's far cheaper, but I'm not sure. It just seems an awful lot of money for what is essentially a fitness band.
Well, we were having a push down on wearable prices, but I think since Apple Watch has come out, the prices are starting to push up again. Now, Pebble's new stuff has all launched higher pricing. I'm hearing rumours that some of the other fitness bands are going to come up with higher pricing again. So it's one of the things where sometimes a market mover can move things in the wrong direction for consumers.
Yeah, exactly. Although I mean, there's been some great deals on the Microsoft Band. So if anyone wants the Band 2, just wait till the Band 3 comes out.
yeah, true enough.
Now the resolution on the new one is 320 by 128, and the old one is 320 by 106.
Yeah, so a little bit higher.
Yeah, so, it does look a little bit better, but I think. It looks a nice device. I'm a big fan of the band. I wear mine all the time, as we've talked about. So I think I might look at the next gen one because mine is starting to it's look a little bit worse for wear, and it's a device that you wear all the time. So yeah, definitely like that. Also, I noticed tonight the Microsoft Health app that you used with the band has been updated. And the post I've put on TDL is about the Windows Phone version, but actually the iOS and Android ones have both been updated today as well.
Yep.
So the changes that the UI looks a lot cleaner. They've used a different font. It just looks a lot easier to read, less cramped on the screen. And they've moved there was sort of two menus before in two different places. They've moved all into one place, and I think the main change is it now supports the Band 2, which has got the extra sensor on it, like the step counter and the UV meter. The UV sensor is running all the time now, I think, on the new Band. So it kind of all does that as well. But, I thought there might be a universal app that you could run on Windows 10, but it doesn't seem to be. What they were looking at on the screen today in the demos looked like an app, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just a website. But anyway, so if you get the band, then the new version of the Health app is there already, which is quite pretty good that they got that out today. You could they could have waited really, because the band's not actually available yet till I think it's the end of October. It's coming, isn't it? You just can't order it at the moment, but I think you're supposed to be able to pre-order it now or today, with delivery later in October. But yeah, it's not available yet. Right, so I'll just look at the chat room. Hello to Chippy, Steve Payne, good to see you in there. Where do I get my 5K to buy everything that was just announced today? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as the event going more and more. And I thought, I'm going to have to pick one thing. I'll pick the lowest thing, the band. Yeah, so I think that the band has done, I know it's not a mainstream device, but I think it's done better than they expected.
Yeah, I mean, particularly since, I mean, originally it was only available in the US, wasn't it? So
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Then it got its well, not necessarily worldwide, but certainly a bigger launch. But yeah, it's not really been all that long ago, has it?
No, it hasn't. So the things that were widely leaked were the new phones. So we've got the 950, the 950 XL, and the 550. So let's start with the 950 then. So what do you think of those?
That's some nice, interesting technology. Water cooled, or liquid cooled, I should say.
Yeah, it comes to, doesn't it, when a mobile phone needs liquid cooling? But I can tell you from my 930 that I wish it had that.
Well, I also guess with having the desktop side of things, the Continuum side, that you actually do need a bit more grunt on there under certain circumstances. So I can see that. But yeah, I mean, they're about much as described, aren't they? I mean, then the nice bits of kit, because you've got, it's the first real high-end one other than Ian's one, which has had the removable storage on it, which I really like that. If the rumors are true, which I haven't seen it on Space, but they may have removable batteries. So that's a good thing as well. Generally, I mean, they definitely are the next step up. Nice new camera. The RGB flash is very clever to avoid red eye. That seemed to be, when I was chatting to people who spotted it, that was sort of non-Microsoft enthusiasts. That was actually one of the biggest things they picked up on, was no red eye on your pictures. That was quite a big thing on the phone. So 20 megapixel sensor, proper image stabilization. Didn't mention much about the f-stop on it, but it's supposed to have a very good low light sensor on it, so that'd be interesting to see how that's sort of a wider focal high speed shutter and all that sort of stuff in there, which is going to make it better for taking low light pictures. Yeah,
I think they did mention that in the keynote that it was good at low light. I think the overall design, I mean, we've seen the renders, but I don't think it really did it justice, because when you see the photos of it, I think it looks a really nice phone.
Yeah, I think it does look nice. I mean, the pictures you've got on the site make it look really nice. I'm quite impressed with that in that respect. Prices were actually better than expected, but I was a bit. It sounded like the dock's going to come separately now, so maybe that's why the prices are slightly cheaper.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, because I remember we talked about that. There was saying the potential the dock would come with it, but that's not the case just yet on here, is it? So that was just something else they announced as well. We'll talk about that in a sec. But so what? I'm just reminding myself what I said about the pricing. Oh yeah, I've got the dollar price: $649 for the 950 XL and $549 for the 950. So what's that going to be? UK
549 and 649.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, best we can hope for, I think it's probably 499 and maybe 599, I think. But we talked about, there were some rumors that the prices were going to be pretty high, but I think they're probably pretty much in line with what you might expect for what is supposed to be an enthusiast, flagship phone.
Yeah.
And the 950, let's say, is 499. I mean, I think my 930 cost about 479 brand new on the day of release, so it's not a million miles away, really.
Yeah, it's not.
And the some of the nice little things, it's got fast charge, isn't it, with USB-C, 30 minutes to charge 50 50%. And like you said, it supports Continuum with this dock, and and they demonstrate the Continuum, which I think works quite well. I'm not totally convinced by Continuum yet, because I've got that many devices that do I really need one thing that has to do everything? Remains to be convinced, but why? Maybe that would be the way that you could go. You can go with a 950, and that would be the only device you really need to carry with you. But
I think Satya made a very good point at the end about emerging markets.
Yeah.
Where people a lot of people just have phones. They don't have computers. So having a phone which can do more is a good thing.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely going to be interesting. It is potentially one of those things where you purchase it thinking this is going to be amazing, I'm going to use this all the time, and because we're fortunate enough to also have Surface devices or laptops, I think maybe I could foresee a time where you don't actually use it as much as you thought you would. A bit like me, really. I thought I'd lose my Surface Pro 3 more often as a tablet, and actually I tend to find myself just with it on my lap with the kickstand and the keyboard attached, just to show it's lappable. But yeah, so I can certainly see situations where it could be really useful, but I do wonder whether or not it will be one of those things that had lots of potential, but actually when it comes down to it, people just kind of almost forget to use it, if you know what I mean.
I could see myself using it for presentation, so I don't have to carry a laptop around. That I could see, just carry the dock and the device around.
Yeah, I think one thing, the most important thing, which seems like stating the obvious, but I think it's got to work, and it's got to work really well. Because I think it's one of those things that if it takes a bit of fiddling around with cables or resetting the phone just before you do a presentation, I think little things like that could really knock the confidence of using it.
Yeah.
And just to say as well that the XL has a slightly higher spec processor than the 950.
So octa-cores and hexacores and
yeah,
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, but apart from that, I think the specs are more or less the same.
Yeah.
Great.
I was just going to say that those specs are going to be unbelievable for running Windows Phone on its own, or at least Windows 10 mobile on its own when you're not running it in Continuum. Those phones are really going to fly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Microsoft Health will straight up.
Yeah.
So if there's any lag in that Windows Mobile interface, well,
yeah, they do look really nice.
It does look really nice. I mean, is that the 950 you've got on your site, Ian?
Yes, I think it is the 950.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the look of it, especially with the silver around the lens, and it does look really smart.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 950 would be the device I'd gravitate towards. It just really does depend on the price and whether it's.
Hang on, say that again.
The 950 XL, sorry.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
Way too small for you.
Yeah, I can't use a 5-inch screen? Tiny.
5.2, yeah.
5.2, tiny screen now. I mean, 5.7 is a bit on the small side to me.
Yes.
We go on, but yeah, I think they're going to be nice phones, good for business, for presentations and things like that. And whether we'll see the consumer apps come through because of the Windows 10 effect, that's the $1 million question, really.
Yeah,
I tell you what did look amazing in the demo. Like I said, I didn't have the sound on, so I spewed it on pictures, but it looked like he showed playing the Jurassic World movie in presumably like full HD off the Continuum. And that's certainly, you could imagine yourself, away somewhere with the kids or away on business, and just being able to plug your phone into a HDMI port and just watch videos is, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's all very reminiscent of the Atrix, but the real difference here is that Microsoft's got the user interface and the user experience absolutely spot on. These are the same apps you would run on your Windows, on your Surface Pro 3, for example. They're just exactly the same, they just scale.
Yeah, it's a great, I think that is the one, Continuum is one of the things that can make the difference. Like you said, if it actually gets used, then it could make all the difference. So
I'll tell you what would have made a better demo for that video. They should have played the Jaws 13 trailer that was put out as a tribute to Back to the Future Part 2. That would have made it look very futuristic.
Absolutely. So those look really nice devices. Whether that would be my next phone, it could be. Whether I'll wait until they come down a bit, because my 1520s working okay. Although I have to say the back buttons, it works, but the light's gone on it. So it's
any old excuse.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's funny how these things know, isn't it? I don't know that there's impending change. So I'll show on the camera, but
yeah, it was funny actually. We were sat around the dinner table yesterday. My youngest, who's 8, is still, we've said, not old enough to have a phone, but he keeps going on and on and on about a phone. And I think my wife made some comment about, well, you know how it works in this house. Your dad always gets the latest. I get his. Your older brother gets mine, and then maybe you'll get his. My 11-year-old's got the which one is it now? I think it's the 530. I think. So my little youngest boy went, "Oh, when are the next new phones out?" I went, "Well, tomorrow actually." I went, "Excellent." He said, "I'm getting a new phone." I went, don't... "Let's wait and see, shall we?"
Yeah, I don't think it quite works like that.
I took that as authority to buy a new phone, so
Yeah, so you're on the pre-order screen, refreshing to the page. So I think those are going to be out later. November, isn't it? Time there, June.
Yeah.
So let's. I think it can be very tempting to look at one of those. I mean, I haven't had a new phone since a year and a bit now. I think August. I think it was August 2013, something like that. So it's a long time.
Yeah, mine was a year and 3 months ago.
Yeah, so I'm doing quite well. So we'll see. The other one they announced, which I didn't get any specs of, is the 550.
Yeah, which looked a nice device in terms of styling. Anyway, very similar styling to the 930, 950, 930, 950, and XL. Just
Now, is that going to be a replacement for the 640 range, or is it for the 730 or the 530 24? Is it 530 or 525, something like that?
I don't know. It's difficult to say. I mean, they do seem to be going with less phones this time around. So, yeah, I think it probably fills all those gaps. It's probably just a bit too big for those people who like the 440.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look to see if they've got it on the site. They kind of just mentioned it in passing, didn't they? It was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a 550 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually listed on the Lumia devices page. So I don't know exactly what the spec is on that, but yeah, because that's what I think. My son's thinking of going for a 640, so he's wondering whether to go with that route or wait for the new Lumias. But I think actually the 640 is not being replaced straight away. I think that's probably a current model for a while yet.
Yeah, I know Chippy's asking about the 550 support in Continuum, but my understanding was that the lower end phones weren't going to support that.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, I don't think and USB-C maybe, but I don't think Continuum.
No, I think, to be honest, any phone launching these days without USB-C would be a mistake.
Yeah.
I know. I think Paul Thurrott's always going on about how he hasn't got any cables, but there has to come a point. It's kind of like chicken and egg, isn't it? And these things will come with cables, and it just seems a bit. I think it's a bit odd to still include the old micro USB.
Yeah. Although by law they'll have to include a micro USB to USB-C converter in Europe, which will be a pain.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. I mean, it just seems odd. I think it's when new stuff comes out, it's right. New devices should launch with it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and you'll just. It's like with when micro USB came out. I had one for a while, and then now I've got they're everywhere. So you soon get to build a collection of them up. So that was the new phones, and like I said, that most of that was leaked out. But I have to say, do look good. So maybe the XL will be my next phone. It just depends on the retail pricing of that. So the other thing that they announced, which I must say, Panos Panay did a really good demo. I know some people thought he was a little bit infomercial sales, but I mean that's his job, isn't it? So yeah, but I thought it was quite a good keynote. They announced the Surface Pro 4, which again, looks excellent device. I think Microsoft really nailed the Surface Pro range now, or the Surface range in general, haven't they? From what was really a joke when it launched, or after the launch, the RT was a joke, and especially when they did the write down, to now become what the best premium Windows device out there. So the 4th generation one has a 12.3-inch screen, so it's got a bigger screen, but it's the same overall size, isn't it? By reducing the bezel.
Yeah, super thin bezel and a super thin screen as well, for that matter.
Yeah, so they've done a really nice job with that. Did you notice that the Windows key is no more?
Don't have any room for it.
Yeah. I think also now we've actually got the Windows key and it's always on display. I think it does become less.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when you naturally hold a tablet in kind of 2 hands in the middle of the device, so there is some movement to do. Whereas I do find that Windows key to be quite convenient.
Yes, I think it works. It's like with the Link 7. I really miss the Windows key. Whether it's there, it's up on the top, and I always find it really inconvenient. But since we're using Windows 10, I haven't missed it at all. So I think, like Gary says, now you've got the always on button there. That doesn't really matter. But anyway, it has meant, I think, that they could get a thinner bezel with a better screen. So it's got a really nice screen. What was it?
PixelSense screen.
Oh yes, a PixelSense screen.
Yeah. They love using names with this brand, don't they?
It was Surface then. It was PixelSense. It was Surface then. In fact, yeah. but it actually makes sense using. I mean, that's an understandable trademark in some ways for people. PixelSense. Oh yeah, there's something to do with sensing a screen. It's a nice whizzy word, which didn't really have a lot of grounding outside the real tech press. So I can see that usage, and it's a lot cheaper to use a trademark than to try and reinvent one.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, really nice. I mean, really nice screen. I think they've done a great job with that. It's light as well, isn't it? I think it's slightly lighter than the.
It's also slightly thinner, isn't it? Which will be interesting because it will work with the original Surface Pro 3 dock. But my Surface Pro 3 dock's got a little groove that the Surface sits in, so presumably there's something to hold it in place.
Yeah. What else? Say it supports up to 16 gig of RAM, which is what you wanted, Jason.
It is, yeah, 16 gig of RAM, 1 terabyte drive. That's absolutely perfect for me.
Yeah, yep. So that's good for you. It supports Windows Hello.
Yep. Hello.
Yes. And
you say hello.
Yeah, there's a new pen.
Yep, I actually like that pen. That really impressed me.
Yeah. And the pen sticks to the surface as well.
Yeah. I still think the pen should have had 10 to 40 levels of pressure.
Yeah.
And the tips are interchangeable as well.
Yep. So you can have art pens or drawing pens or writing pens, and it's got an eraser on the end.
I mean, there's a device out there without an eraser on the end of a pencil.
Yes. Well, that was quite funny when they said. Yeah. And also, it was quite funny when Panos Panay came on and started talking about the Surface and sort of saying how you may have seen other devices sort of taking the cues from our style.
Yeah.
Very nice looking device. So what they said, it was 30% faster than the Surface Pro 3.
Yes. Did they mention, because there was some talk about having the liquid cooling, same as the phones. Was that confirmed?
I don't remember hearing that mentioned, to be honest.
I think it's right at the start.
They mentioned advanced cooling, so I didn't actually say it was liquid, but I guess it is.
Yeah, because I mean that is my one of all the criticisms I've got on my Surface Pro 3, because of what, I mean, it is the way I use it. I've got up to 4 VMs with SQL failover clusters running, but it does get very, very hot. I mean, almost too hot to touch. And while I'm obviously not using it as a tablet in that case, so it doesn't matter. It does, quite often the person sitting next to me at work goes, "Is that your fan going?"
Yeah.
And also sometimes, you're just using Edge and the fan just seems to kick in, and you think it shouldn't be that resource intensive just reading a web page.
Yeah, well, I mean, the interesting. I mean, you won't be using the Core M3 version, but that will obviously have a lot lower thermal footprint.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, I know Chippy was just questioning the performance of that, and I think the M3 is actually a reasonable performer. It's maybe a more of a Surface 4 than a Surface Pro 4 with a Core M3 chip in it, but but at least you can still go all the way to the top. So
yeah, I think the entry level one is very close to the Surface 3 sort of specs, isn't it, really? But then you can really step up, and like I said, with 16 gig storage, 16 gig RAM, terabyte storage, and an i7, you're going to get really good performance out of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it will be cooler, won't it, with the new Intel processors. So hopefully that will make a difference. But yeah, the 16 gig of RAM was one thing I was looking for, so that's awfully tempting.
And the new type cover looks quite good. It looks like they've improved the type cover again, really, because I think I really like the type cover on the 3, so I think they've done a good job improving that.
Yeah, the type cover looks really nice, especially with a slightly larger trackpad, and it's going to be Surface Pro 3 compatible, and it includes the fingerprint sensor for Windows Hello. Yeah, that's going to be a very tempting upgrade. If I don't end up purchasing a Surface Pro 4, then I think I'd definitely be in the market for the keyboard just to add on my Surface Pro 3.
Yes, I think that's probably what I would do. Yeah, if I was going to do an upgrade, then that's what I would look at. But so I really like my Surface Pro 3. I mean, the great thing with Surface brand is that you just get a no nonsense installs as well. So you just get everything. You don't get any of the crapware and worms and all these kind of backdoor things and McAfee and all that kind of thing. You just get a really good, clean installation. And I think that's one thing I really like about the Surface brand. And the Surface Pro 4 looks a really nice device. I think they've done a great job just iterating on the current one. What did they say in terms of performance? So just 50% faster than a MacBook Air they were comparing it with?
Yep.
That's big numbers to talk about.
Yeah, and I think also one of the key things for me with the Surface Pro 4 is it's going to be a native Windows 10 device. And one thing I always feel, and I get a sense of with the Surface Pro 3 is it's and this isn't about the operating system itself in terms of experience, but just for me, Windows 8 just felt a bit more stable on the Surface Pro 3 compared to Windows 10, almost like it's not a native Windows 10 device. Microsoft would have spent hours optimizing the Surface Pro 4 to work with Windows 10, and that's not to say they haven't probably put in quite a bit of effort with the Surface Pro 3, but it's still a device that was built and designed for Windows 8.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, this has been from the ground up for Windows 10.
Yeah, exactly. So driver optimizations, and there's just a few little niggles I find with the Surface Pro 3, particularly most of the time when it comes out of Hibernate, it seems to have done a full system restart instead of actually waking up properly. My Wi-Fi has been a bit flaky since the 29th of September firmware release, so I think that will. It seems like a small thing, but I think that would be quite key in terms of overall experience.
Yeah, and funny, I haven't had the waking issues or the Wi-Fi issues, but I'm not running Hyper-V, and I think that affects it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think every Surface Pro 3 has a different user has their user impact in a different way. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I have got Hyper-V, and I have to disable some of my my internal network devices, otherwise when I'm at home and I haven't got Hyper-V running, it can't seem to get out onto the internet until I disable that, even though it's supposed to be just an internal Hyper-V network. But yeah, I think, I mean, like I say, I know I push my Surface Pro 3 to the limit, but yeah, it just doesn't, I think it just doesn't quite feel right with Windows 10 yet. Now, Threshold 2 might change that. I know people have been saying that it seems to be a big step forward in terms of stability, so I'll be interested to reassess that situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly on the Encore 8, it's been a lot better than since it's been on that. Just as an aside on that Surface Pro on the 3 on the reliability, I had a strange one today, and I actually put this on the blog in case somebody else comes across.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So when I powered the Surface up today, the keyboard didn't work at all. It didn't make the sound or anything else. Now, you may remember back a couple of years ago, I had this problem with a problem with the Surface RT, where some of the keys worked and some of them didn't. And I found a way of sort of restoring the driver that fixed this, and it's still one of the most popular posts today. So, but it wasn't the same thing. It didn't. There was no audio. The USB insertion. When you went to Device Manager, there was no undetected devices, or there was no change when you plugged it. So it looked like a hardware failure rather than a software failure. So I cleaned the contacts and tried other things, and nothing would work. And eventually, I saw in one of the someone said try doing like a complete power cycle, but not just using actually shutting it down and turning it off, actually going into the BIOS, or at least using the volume up option. So basically what you do, you hold the volume up, hold the power down, wait 10 seconds, then turn it on, and then it comes on and does a sort of a clean startup. And it actually, on mine, it went into the BIOS, and I had to come out of the BIOS. And once I did that, it then detected the keyboard and worked fine, which is a really strange error, and one that looks totally hardware related and not software at all. But in fact, it was totally software.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. I've come across the Surface Pro 3 keyboard not working, but generally I just unsnap it and snap it back in, and it starts to work again. But yeah, should I tell you one of the out of this presentation, the biggest tribute I saw to the Surface Pro? I think the biggest omission from this announcement. It's the first Surface announcement where they spent 0 time trying to convince you it was lappable. And I think that really highlights just how right they got it with the Surface Pro 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a slight joke at the Panos Panay, a slight sort of quip about it. I think that was all. That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because every other previous launch, particularly not so much maybe with the original Surface, but certainly the Surface Pro 2, they spent ages trying to convince us that they'd address the lappability issue. And while it was definitely better, it was not absolutely perfect with just the fixed 2 positions. But then when the Surface Pro 3 came out, they spent a lot of time talking about that. Actually, that might be slightly untrue what I said, because I never saw the Surface Pro, the Surface 3 announcement properly. But certainly in terms of, it's nice to see that they didn't have to spend any time convincing us of that.
Yeah, but I mean, it was quite a triumphal presentation, I think, around the Surface, and I think the Surface Pro 4 looks a really nice device. And not so much of a change that you were thinking of ditching your Surface Pro 3, but a nice incremental update with some features.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I slightly disagree there. I think, because I've said before, when I bought my Surface Pro 3, I thought, well, it's going to take a lot for the Surface Pro 4 to make me envious and wish, I could get a new one. But actually, I think there's just enough in there that it's more than a spec bump.
Well, you think the extra capacity for the RAM and
the extra capacity for the RAM, the 1 terabyte drive probably less so, because I tend to put all my VMs onto an external USB 3 drive anyway. But I just think that slightly bigger screen, that 16 gig of RAM, the fact that it's got the next generation Intel processor, which I think have been a bigger jump forward than I was expecting. So I think it's very easy to look at the specs and think it's just a spec bump, but actually I think there's just enough in there to make it, make me envious.
I think that's probably because you push your you push your device quite hard, don't you? I mean, the only time I really push mine is when I'm doing video editing. It could be. I wish it was a bit faster when I was doing some of the, the cutting and pasting, the video editing. But for the rest of the time, it's not my Visual Studio machine, so maybe that's probably why I'm thinking. I think for you, who are using it all the time like you do, then I think I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Also, I think the slightly bigger screen, I think that while it's not much, I think it could have quite a big impact.
Yeah, it's a few percent, isn't it? I just wanted to quickly go back to the keyboard, because one of the things obviously on that new keyboard is it's got a fingerprint sensor on it as well. So you can use Windows Hello for your fingerprint sensor as well as the infrared camera as well. And I'm wondering if that will actually work on the Surface Pro 3. I can't see any reason why it
does. They actually said that's what it's for.
Okay, so brilliant then. It works.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think I probably I wouldn't change the Surface, but my Surface Pro 3, but I may, when this keyboard starts to get a bit tatty, maybe look at one of the new keyboards with that in there.
Yeah, and there's still, the pen's still got the OneNote integration where you can get it to capture the screen and then write on the screen, and use the button to activate OneNote. And also, I noticed you can actually hold the button down and that activates Cortana.
Yeah, that's rather cool.
Yeah.
And I think, as I said, the Surface Pro 4 works with the Surface Pro 3 dock, but they have got a new dock as well.
Yeah, it's more of a hub, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know they announced it as a dock, but I think it's definitely more of a hub.
Yeah, because I think so it's got a single cable, didn't they, to plug into it?
Yeah, Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a nice accessory, and it's certainly got, plenty of ports. With the thing with the Surface Pro 3 dock is, and I use mine, and I've got two, one for work and one at home, but it does fix the Surface into a fixed position, whereas at least with the hub, you could use the kickstand and put it in any position you want. Although I will say, I feel they've got the angle spot on with the dock.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I've never bothered with. I don't know about the dock. Because, like I said, I sit during the day with my work laptop, so the Surface is my everywhere else sort of device. So that's why I don't
Yeah, I mean, I really like it in that it just means I can just literally walk into the office, plug it in, pump it into the dock, close it up, and it's powered. And then at the end of the day, I just have to literally pull it out of the dock and not have to worry about unplugging cables, and which I think you would have to do with that hub, because it is it's like a power cable that connects to the magnetic port on the side.
Yeah. Now, so the Surface Pro 4 looks an excellent device, and definitely the best tablet that can replace your laptop device available. But what about a laptop that can replace your tablet that replaces your laptop?
Yeah, I saw people talking about that, but actually, I think it's a very different device, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So with the Surface Pro devices, there is an opportunity and a likelihood that you would use it as a tablet. But I think once you get into that kind of 14-inch range, then you might purchase it. If it was a traditional Surface device, I think you might buy it thinking, I'll sometimes use it as a tablet. But I think at that size, I just don't think you ever would. So I think it being a more traditional laptop format, it just makes much more sense.
Now, we should say this is the Surface Book.
Yes. Not the MacBook, Surface Book.
In fact, the Microsoft said redefining the laptop, so they've reinvented it, which looks a lovely device. So this is 13.5-inch Pixel Sense display, running resolution of 3000 by 2000. Full touch as well, with a keyboard that looks like a traditional. I mean, they're very clever in the demo. They showed it off and it said it was a laptop, but it is actually a tablet, isn't it, as well?
Yep. Yeah, which they left to the last minute to show. Now, watch this video closer, and they added the next bit on the end. I like the hinge. I really do like the hinge. That's really clever, because it gives you that ability. Because most laptops are very restricted on the hinge positioning, and I do like that a lot. It almost gives you that ability to have the same sort of angle as you can get with a Surface, which you can't necessarily get with a laptop and still remain lappable. So yeah, good stuff on that.
Yeah.
I also like the fact it's got this dual GPU. So they've actually got one GPU in the top part, and one GPU in the keyboard. So you've got a really fast graphics device. That'll do your videos for you, Ian.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's something we've seen with a couple of devices. Have tried this, haven't they? I mean, you think on the Ace, which is the 10 and the 12 that we've already reviewed in the past, where they've got the battery and some bits in the base in the keyboard, and then they've got the tablet part. But I think this has got a battery and the GPU in the thing, isn't it? In the keyboard. So I don't know quite what's in which bits of it, but you can use it as a tablet without the extra GPU. And so, like you said, for me that would be great. But this is a real high-end machine. I think this is doing what we've said that Microsoft wants to do with the Surface, is to show you the ultimate sort of hardware design for Windows, and I think this is it, isn't it? It's I think it's light but very powerful. So you could have an i7 processor, and I think the i7 comes with the NVIDIA GeForce graphics processor, and you can have 16 gig of RAM and terabyte storage. So you can really push this to a very high-end device.
Yeah, extremely high end, I think, is.
I mean, it looks gorgeous, and I mean, it's very Surface-like in terms of the way that those events go all the way around the back of the screen.
Yeah,
and that the way that the hinge works looks quite smart.
So I actually think this is the tablet that can replace your laptop. That is a laptop that can replace your desktop.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll work that out later. I'll write it down. Maybe you could do as a flow chart for that.
But the point I'm making there is it is a true desktop replacement.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do virtually anything you can do on a reasonably high end desktop machine, and have the portability.
Yeah, you're going to be able to do Photoshop, video editing, audio editing, CAD design, anything, aren't you? With this real high end device, this would be a good machine for a Visual Studio.
Yeah.
It is nice, and I guess the keyboard is included in the box as well, like the Surface.
True. Yeah, it's going to be part of the price. So that's why it's probably going to be a bit more expensive. But
yeah. And it raised £3.34, so it's a bit heavier than the Surface Pro 4. But then you are talking a 13.5-inch screen, aren't you, on there?
Yeah. It's more. I think the comparison they made of comparing that to the MacBook and comparing the Surface Pro to the MacBook Air is right, because they're very similar things. This is a genuine laptop. You expect weight in it, and understandable.
I mean, I like I said, for my day job, I've got a 15-inch Lenovo touch laptop, but so that's the kind of market I think that's going for, and that's got Visual Studio and all the other stuff on it. So I think it looks great, and I think it was very nicely presented, and it really is the aspirational device. And I think that's what's great about the Surface range now, is you can go from the £400 Surface 3 all the way up to whatever this is. This is going to be £2,000 by the time you've got all the top end specs on it, probably. But you have got that full range, but it's a premium category. I mean, it's a bit like what the car companies do, isn't it? It's like you get a BMW or a Mercedes, maybe not a VW, but but you know what I'm saying? They've got high end devices, they've got top of the range cars, GT cars or whatever, but then that style is reflected lower down the range for you to sort of to aspire to.
Yep.
Very, very nice. And I think they did a great job in keeping the lid on the
so to speak,
yeah.
Keep the lid on the laptop.
The lid on the laptop, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there was quite a lot leaked, wasn't there? The Surface Pro 4 was pretty much as expected. The Lumias were as expected. I think particularly the Band 2 was pretty much as expected. But yeah, it was good. I mean, I know a lot of the Microsoft people were tweeting the fact that if you think you've seen everything leaked already, then you're in for a massive surprise. And I think it was presented as one more thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
a little nod to Apple, but it does look really nice.
Interesting by absence is any 8-inch devices or a bit lower, apart from the phones, obviously.
Yeah, no Surface Mini, which is I was kind of hoping there might be.
I've got a feeling that category of device bigger than a phone and smaller than the 8-inch, that between the 7-inch, 7 8-inch device is dead. I don't think anybody seems to be interested in those. Maybe there's the 8-inch devices running Windows 10, but I don't think anybody seems to be picking up on the Windows 10 mobile version. Now, whether it's just because they've not seen that hardware announced yet, and there is going to be hardware announced over the next week or so. There's lots of, I think, HP and Toshiba and everything. There's sort of staggered announcements this week to next week. But it just seems to be that it's a category that doesn't get mentioned.
Yeah, I would like to see somebody make an attempt at a Atrix style device with Windows 10 mobile and Continuum. Having an 8-inch screen that you could plug a 5-inch phone into. Be quite smart.
Yeah, I think that's something an OEM could try.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, certainly no reason why not. Although I don't know whether or not the mobile phone screen can turn off, which is what you'd need. Otherwise, it'll get pretty hot inside an enclosed case.
I mean, overall, I thought the event was really well organised. The stream worked. I know a couple of people said it was buffering, but I had no issues with the stream. The stream worked well. The presenters were good. It didn't have that sort of awkward moments that you get in many of these type of events. And I think they announced a great range of devices and showed some real aggression, especially from the Surface, team, of really pushing the devices. And that, we're seeing a revitalized Microsoft.
Yeah, definitely. And then to cap it all off, they announced 2 new builds.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Not falling for that.
That would have been the icing on the cake.
Yeah, interesting. They didn't announce any builds actually.
It wasn't a software event.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
None of the software team were there either. I mean, a lot of people.
Yeah, Joe Belfiore said he was in his PJs and.
Yeah, that's right. The software people went there, so it was a hard one.
Actually, did you see that tweet from Joe Belfiore? He said he actually spent a week where he unplugged his desktop PC and literally just worked with Continuum.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that if the apps are there, then why not? Yeah, that's doable.
Mm.
Now, just a couple of things to wrap up with. I did a post about Microsoft's entertainment strategy. We've been talking about Groove music and movies and TVs for a while, and just a kind of an editorial on that. So I'll include a link for that. But basically, what I'm saying, Microsoft have still got a lot of work to do, especially around the movies and TV side. That's really lacking in availability on other platforms. So yeah, I'll include a link to that so you can have a read of that. And I also did a poll on what music services do you use. I'm just bringing the results up now. So what music service did you use? And you only get with the straw poll, you only get 4 options. So I picked Microsoft Groove, Google Play Music, Spotify, and Apple Music. And the results are quite interesting, actually. 35% said Microsoft Groove, 39%, and the highest volume was Spotify. Apple Music got 6%, and Google Play Music got 20%. So actually a higher proportion than I thought on Groove, but that's probably skewed by our Windows fans bias anyway. But it's interesting to see that people are using Groove, because that was really the whole point of the poll. I was trying to see whether anybody actually uses Groove, and it appears more people use it than Apple Music. It's within our readership, but we do have Android and iPhone users, so it's a good. The music platform, is close to being a good platform for any device. So that's why I sort of did that post about that.
I mean, we were playing music at the weekend through the Sonos with the Groove subscription. So works great.
Yeah, it does work good. Yeah. So I did a couple of videos. I got a video of the Acer 26-inch 4K monitor, very nice monitor. So you can have a look at that. Playing with the Acer Revo this week. Very nice, actually. Nice media center type machine, home entertainment system. I think you've seen those little.
Is that a stack one or the egg one?
Yeah, it's like a white egg thing.
Yeah, there's nice bit of kit.
Yeah, dual terabyte drive, 60 gig SSD, and i5. So a very nice device.
Yeah, I played with one of those in Dublin. That was very nice.
Very nice. So that's about all we've got time for this week. So it was really a very interesting event for Microsoft, and
I've been looking on the Microsoft store, and I can't see anything in the UK. So I don't know if they mentioned in which regions these devices are launching.
Yeah, on the Microsoft Band page, it said coming soon for the UK part. So I'll just keep refreshing the page, I think, for that one. But yeah, we may have to wait for that, but hopefully not too long.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to save up for the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe with the book royalty day, Gary.
Yeah, maybe if we're really lucky.
We can retire on those.
Go on in, plug your book. Go on.
Yeah, that's it. We haven't. Well, just wait till we get it, then we'll certainly. So, where can we find you, Jason?
You can find me on Twitter at DatabaseJace.
And Gary, where can we find you?
At Gary with 2 R's WMA on Twitter.
Great stuff, and thanks to everybody that joined us in the chat room. It's good to see a busy chat room in there tonight, and it's great to have a real bit of enthusiasm around Microsoft's products as well. I think they did a good job in that, and let's hope they can keep the momentum going and we get some new builds to talk about on next week's show.
Yes. Do you think we'll get one before next week?
Yes.
That was fairly categorical, that was.
Yes, I think
we're going to hold you to that. Yeah, I think we will as well.
I think they will, yeah. I think they had one on Friday on the fast ring, didn't they, in the internal testing. So, yeah, we'll get one this week.
Yeah, I think we'll get one this week.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. It was really, really good to see everybody in there. So we'll be back next week, Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. UK time to do the recording, or on the podcast, YouTube, and I'm at IS Dixon on Twitter. So until next week, we'll see you then.
Take care.
Cheerio.